Болашак бағдарламасының
Болашак.
Болашак за 2.
программе Болашак.
Хочешь учиться за границей бесплатно по Болашак и получать 1 миллион тенге в месяц, но не знаешь, какой университет выбрать, тогда это видео для тебя. В этом выпуске глава международного отдела университета Сассекс Саймон Томпсон расскажет, почему именно университет Сассекса отличный выбор для обучения и стажировки, какие программы доступны для студентов Болашак и как же поступить. Не пропусти важную информацию, смотри до конца. Приятного просмотра! Hi Simon, welcome to my channel and thank you for being my first guest. Could you introduce yourself and your university?
Thank you. It's a privilege to be asked to be on your YouTube channel. My name is Sаймон Томпсон. I am a Professor of Education at the University of Sussex, and I'm also Head of the School of Education and Social Work, and I'm Pro-Vice Chancellor International for the whole university.
During my study at the Sussex University, I visited many cities of England, and I found that Brighton is the most comfortable city because of the location and the weather. What do you like the best about Brighton?
First of all, I like the fact that it's on the sea, and I can't imagine living anywhere that's not by the sea. So the opportunity to be by the seaside every day, to have a walk, is my favourite thing about the city. But also you can, within 15 minutes, be in the national park and be working in nature. And you can also be in a very, very vibrant city. So you've got 3 different things. You've got the sea, you've got the city, and then you've got the countryside all in one place. And it's only 1 hour from London.
Simon, I know you work with many countries like Kazakhstan, and when and how you started working with Kazakhstan?
Okay, so I was very lucky to be involved in some early projects with Bolashak scholars back in 2014 and 2015. And we had scholars from Nazarbayev intellectual schools, some scholars from Almaty, some scholars from Astana, and some scholars from Pavlodar. And I've also been fortunate to be involved in some research in teacher education in Almaty. And then more recently, I've developed some partnerships with 2 universities, one in Almaty, which is the Kazakh National Women's Teacher Training University, where we have a memorandum of understanding, and we are developing and exploring some joint programs, and also the Pavlodar Pedagogic University. Mm-hmm. And I've been to Astana 3 times, and I've been to Almaty now 5 times.
Oh, amazing. And I know you hosted this year scholars from Kazakhstan funded by Bolashak and the 500 Scholars Program. So how many scholars you have this year?
Okay, so we currently have 12 scholars studying at the University of Sussex. They are all with us for either between 6 and 12 months. And we have another 3 joining us in January and another 2 joining us in March. So they can join at different points over the year.
That sounds good. And could you tell us more about the internship program, what it includes, like modules and the activities?
Sure. Absolutely. So all of the scholars have a core experience, and that involves 4 different academic modules. 2 of them, one is called Provocative Pedagogies, looks at teaching and learning, and the other one, which is called Reflection and Theory, looks at the intersection between theory and practice. And that's common for all of our scholars. And in those modules, they interact with British students, with other international students, and with other Bolashak scholars. And then we have 2 modules which are dedicated just to the Bolashak scholars. One of them focuses on academic and research skills, and then the other one is a module which focuses on engaging in inquiry. So it leads them through an empirical study of their own choice. So those are the core modules. On top of that, our scholars can choose modules from education courses or from other courses across the university that they might have a particular interest. So one of the students this year has a particular interest in family policy and family practice, so he's taking our families and young people module. Another one is interested in leadership and is taking a leadership module. And then we also provide opportunities for scholars to go and visit other universities. So we have a visit planned for the University of Cambridge, for London and for Bath. And then we also make sure that all our scholars get the opportunity to visit a number of local schools. So they see some primary schools, some secondary schools, and some further education colleges as well.
That sounds great. I remember our first call in April, and you told me about that our schools, they would have classes with local British students and international students as well.
Yes.
And I found this very great opportunity for our scholars, because in other universities, for example, other UK and the US universities, they don't. Our Kazakh scholars, they only engage with Kazakh people in one group, and it's very good for our students, scholars, to engage with other colleagues from around the world, you know. And I hope that our scholars, Balgat, Bakhtkul, and Saule, they will return with very good knowledge and big experience.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would say they're a credit to Kazakhstan, because when they're in the modules with the other students, they work so hard. They're always well prepared. They're always attending on time. And if you like, they set the bar for the other international and home students. So it's been fantastic having them in those modules. But equally, it's also important that they have the opportunity to just focus on the issues that are important to scholars in Kazakhstan as well. So they get a mixture of the two.
Yes, I agree. And can you tell more about the practice? So they have practice only, for example, if the scholars funded by the 500 scholars, they can get practice at universities, right?
Yes, they get the opportunity, in the provocative pedagogies module, they get the opportunity to develop new teaching skills and then apply those through their own presentations to each other and to other academics and to other students. And then in their research projects, they get the opportunity to carry out the empirical research. And then at the end of that module, we have a conference that dedicated to their research and them presenting their ideas, their research questions, and any data they've collected within that time period.
So potential candidates, they always ask me about the difference between master programs and the internship programs. Can you answer to this question, please?
Of course, yes. So when someone is doing an internship with us, they are treated at the university as if they were what we call a visiting fellow. So they have the kind of same status as a member of staff, and they're not registered on an academic award. They do some of the same modules, but they don't have to do the assignments, because they are pursuing their own research or practice interest, whether that's to go and practice, if they were a teacher, to go and practice in a school, whether if it's at the university to develop their research, and that's very much the internship program. And in that program, we can also offer, if someone is there for 12 months, a Russian language opportunity, where in the first 3 to 4 months they will develop their English language skills before they take some of the core modules that I just mentioned. For the master's or for the PhD program, that can be any of our master's programs across the university, whether that's in education, or it could be in psychology, or it could be in the business school, or in global studies, or any of these. And the same with the PhD. The difference with the PhD is that they need to find a supervisor who will support them. But I'm very happy to kind of broker those opportunities. If someone wants to come to Sussex and pursue a particular area for a PhD, I might be able to identify the right academic for them to work with. For the academic programme, for the master's or the PhD, then their levels of English have to be quite high.
What are the requirements?
Normally IELTS 7.
7?
Yeah.
For PhD, yeah?
For PhD, and 6.5 for most of the master's courses.
Okay. And what kind of advice would you give for those who are willing to study at Sussex University?
Apply early.
As much as possible.
Get your support.
загорелся желанием учиться в университете Сассекса по Болашак, либо делать здесь стажировку, у меня для тебя отличная новость. Я Арайлым, выпускница Болашак и официальный представитель этого университета в Казахстане. Бесплатно помогу тебе поступить в этот университет и выиграть стипендию Болашак. Почему бесплатно? Потому что я официально представляю этот университет, и тебе не нужно платить за мои услуги. Хочешь узнать больше? Переходи по ссылке в описании и напиши Сассекс в WhatsApp. Я расскажу, как выиграть стипендию Болашак и поступить в этот университет.
I think is key.
Thank you.
So having that conversation with you and then making the introduction, I think, is really important. To be clear in their application what it is that they're particularly interested in, but also to have some flexibility. So, for example, they might want to focus on a particular subject area, but if they combine that with education, then we can put together a really interesting program for them.
What are the plans for the next year?
Well, this is our first year of having a cohort of 12, and by the end of it, we'll have a cohort of 17. So we'll be really interested in evaluating how the scholars have engaged, enjoyed and benefited from this year's internship. So the first thing we'll be doing is evaluating. The other thing we'll do is try and get people all starting pretty much around the same time so that they all develop this kind of coherent cohort identity, which I think is really important. They can find accommodation together, they can start the modules together, they can engage in social activities together. And sometimes it's harder for people to come in a bit later on into the cycle. But I think we'll be offering the same, but we'll also look to try and develop the internships beyond education, so to offer them in maths, physics, sciences, potentially in business, potentially in law and in psychology, some broader areas.
Perfect. And what will be the start date for them?
Ideally, I would like all of our scholars to begin at the end of September. That gives them the best.
End of September.
That gives them the best experience because it's when the university business starts across the whole campus. They get to engage with staff-facing activities, student-facing activities, and engage in every single one of the modules from the beginning. And I think that gives them the best opportunity to succeed.
And what about additional activities or maybe some visiting conferences to another city?
So as I mentioned, we organise at least 3 kind of excursions to other cities that have universities that involves both an academic focus but also a kind of cultural enrichment experience as well. But I've also noticed that the current scholars are quite ambitious with their travel plans. So some of them have already gone and visited Scotland, someone's going mountain climbing in Wales, someone's planned a trip to Northern Ireland. They're really making the most of the opportunity to be, every weekend they're doing something different. And also the other thing, they've kind of engaged in some kind of UK cultural experiences like cream teas, Halloween, Guy Fawkes Night, fireworks, New Year's Eve, all of these things. They're getting involved in all of the holidays as well. And then the final thing we do is that every week, I'm one of the tutors, but every week I sit down with the scholars for a kind of 1-hour catch-up where we have a coffee and a cake and we talk about their experience over the week. We troubleshoot any problems. They're able to ask questions. I'm able to update them on their timetables. And that's been a good initiative this year.
Nice. What about research topics?
Okay.
And the supervisors.
Yeah, so what happens at the beginning of the programme is that we allow our interns to settle in, to kind of get used to being at the university. Some of our early modules are very much focused on research design, so that by the time they come to the end of October, early November, they're beginning to identify the particular research interests that they have. So that between November and December, I work with them as their supervisor. We develop some research questions and the methodology that they're going to pursue. And then from January onwards, I identify a member of faculty who will work with them on a supervisory basis to guide them through their research.
Thank you so much for your answer. And what about a lot of researchers and scholars, they ask about publishing their own works at journals, UK. Is it possible?
Yes, so one of the sessions that we offer, the modules, Engaging in Inquiry, one of the workshops is about how to get your research published. And we share the kind of pedagogic research journals that they might decide to focus and target in. But regardless of where they go to publish, everybody at the end of the internship will present their research in a conference to their peers, to other academics and to doctoral students across the university.
Sounds good. Simon, as a Deputy or Vice Chancellor for International, in what projects you will be responsible?
Okay, so there's two particular projects that I'll be responsible for in my role. The first one is to have a big focus on international recruitment. One of the things I love about Sassex is its global outlook, and that's reflected in the students that come and study with us from everywhere in the world. I was lucky enough to be in a room with different scholars at the beginning of the year, and I think there were 47 different countries represented. So one of the big areas that I'll be focusing in on is developing the opportunity for students to come to the university from all across the world for all of our programs, not just the ones in education. And then the second thing I'm really interested in is developing more sustainable partnerships with different universities and different organisations. And that means student mobility, but it also means joint research programmes, the possibility to develop dual awards. These will be particular projects that I will be focusing in on. And as you know, I've already got a big interest in what goes on in Kazakhstan and Central Asia as well. So that will be one of my starting points.
Simon, thank you for taking the time for the interview, and I wish you more students and a successful project. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for being with me today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.